Show.
Welcome to episode 124 of the Gluttons for Punishment podcast, or GFP, a Toronto Maple Leafs and NHL podcast hosted by Michael Lepore and Anthony Bruno. He's Lepore, I'm Bruno. Thank you so much for listening and watching us on YouTube as well. The Toronto Maple Leafs are back on track. Or are they? Because some people, despite the 4-game winning streak, might still be a little skeptical of this team. We'll get into that. And you know what we're going to talk about on today's show. William Nylander tearing up the NHL.
Yeah.
27 points in 17 games. Returns home to Sweden and puts on an absolute show. So we're going to talk about the Leafs' trip to Sweden, the 4-game winning streak, William Nylander, the future of William Nylander, and the cap sheet of the Leafs, and what are they going to do moving forward with all these star players and all these contracts? And then we're also going to get into the Edmonton Oilers, who still stink. They are one of the worst teams in the NHL, at least record-wise, maybe not statistically, but we'll get into all that, and I promise you want to stay tuned until the very, very end. But it is now time to officially welcome in my partner in crime, Mr. Michael Lepore. How you doing today, man?
Anthony Bruno, why wouldn't I be doing amazing, Bruno? Leafs have won 4 in a row, and we have a banger of a game tonight for Monday Night Football, Chiefs and Eagles. We'll get to watch that as soon as we wrap up. Who do you got tonight, Bruno? Who do you got?
I like the Chiefs, man.
The Chiefs with the points, or what? They're -2.5?
Yeah, they're -2.5. I like the Chiefs on the spread. I like the Chiefs straight up. I lost a lot of money betting against Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, so maybe I'm a little bit scarred. But I do like Kansas City tonight. How about you?
See, my brain says Eagles, but my gut says Chiefs. I think it's going to get it done at home. And as a 49ers fan, I hope that happens for the race for first place in the conference. But, I mean, hopefully we just get an amazing game. It'll be great. But here we are, man. How sweet it is. Maple Leafs win both games in Sweden, both in very dramatic fashion, 4 in a row, as you've said. You know, why should we be nervous in Leafland, Bruno? What could we possibly be nervous about or anxious about right now?
I don't know, man. Like, when I look at the numbers, there's still a few things that concern me about this team. I do think that they've turned it around, but there are still some issues. I still don't think they're controlling the game like they usually do in terms of the shot attempts and the scoring chances and all that. The goaltending still hasn't been great, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm not thrilled. Obviously, I'm happy that they're on a 4-game winning streak and they're now 10-5-2, but I'm not overly thrilled about how they're playing. And one note on the football game, by the time we post this tomorrow, we're going to see how smart or how stupid we are, because obviously the game will be over, but we're both riding with the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, man. So let's get right into it then, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's start things off, obviously, with the Leafs rolling through Sweden, picking up 4 points. The first game, they were kind of asleep for most of the game. They had to come back from 2-0 down. And it was a great performance by the second line. I mean, I call them the second line, but really it's like another first line with Nylander, Tavares, and Tyler Bertuzzi. And then in the second game, the Leafs went up 3-1 in the third period. You thought, all right, here we go. They're finally going to like calmly win a hockey game. And they proceed to blow it until William Nylander saved the day in overtime. He is the OT god. Like, I genuinely believe that he is, maybe he's not the best, but he's a top 3 overtime player in the league. Like, you got McDavid, McKinnon, and William Nylander. I think
that's
are
a
the
hot
3 most dynamic overtime players I've ever seen.
That's a hot take, Bruno.
When the puck is on their stick, man, the things that those 3 guys can do, their explosiveness, their speed, their skill, their shots, their hands, like off the charts, man. I kept saying I was watching the overtime. I'm like, just give this guy the fucking puck. Give Nylander the puck. The puck goes on his stick, skates into the zone, ends the game.
Does that top 3 pick involve defensemen?
No, I mean, you know what? It does involve defensemen, so I don't care about Cale Makar, and I don't care about
Erik
some of the other
Karlsson.
top D-men in the league, Victor Hedman, Roman Josi, like good skaters. Like, Nylander's top 3, in my opinion, in terms of OT players in the league.
Yeah. What's going to happen this year with the All-Star game being in Toronto? Because there's that rule of like one guy per team, but usually it sways a little bit with the home team. Some tough choices are going to be in Toronto, man, for the Leafs. I mean, I don't think it's unfair to assume that they're going to nudge Austin Matthews in because he's Austin Matthews. But him and Willie, like, I mean, does Marner even have a shot right now? Like, imagine we said that at the beginning of the year, and that's not necessarily shade at him, even though we've talked on the show previously about how he hasn't been his best, but still his numbers are still pretty strong, and he's got brand recognition, so he'd have a chance. But as it stands now, no, it's gonna be Matthews and Willie, I guess.
Yeah, Marner's definitely the odd man out. It sounds kind of crazy considering he has 20 points in 17 games.
Yeah.
But he just hasn't looked great this year. And obviously, like, Matthews is, what has he got? 14 goals now, 14 goals in 17 games. I mean, he's been great, but even the Matthews hype has like kind of slowed down a little bit because Nylander has just stolen the show.
Yeah.
Like, he's now 1 point off the league scoring lead as of Monday night here. So we'll see what happens in some of the games going on tonight. But I mean, like, where do you rank William Nylander right now? Because not only is he the best player on the team right now, I'm not saying he's better than Austin Matthews. I mean, I think he's better than Mitch Marner, to be honest with you. And maybe none of us were saying that last year or the year before. But like, where do you rank him right now, just in terms of like league wide? Because night in and night out, this guy is absolutely dominating games and consistently looks like the best player on the ice.
Where do I rank him as in like today?
Yeah, like among like, and I know it's very difficult to do this unless we're gonna sit down and go name by name. But like league wide, man, there's really not that many guys playing better than Nylander right
he's
now.
He's a top 5 player in the world right now.
Wow, you have him top 5.
But he's unstoppable. He's possessed every time he's out there. You went over the numbers. The guy has a point in every single game this season. He's on an absolute mission, man. And how much of it is simply like we're kind of seeing this as an explosion from William Nylander. And last year he put up 40 and had an amazing year. But were we just kind of polluted a little bit as Leafs fans because Matthews and Marner spiked early? And this is just kind of like a normal progression up, more gradual. So
I love that you brought that up because this actually is a normal progression.
Yeah, like he's hitting his prime now, whereas Matthews and Marner were in their prime at like 20, 21. So it just, and again, they hit it. That's a compliment to them. They hit it early, but it's like, oh, like Nylander's like behind them, and he was, but just now he's progressing up and up and up, and Leafs fans are afraid.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to see. That's a great point you bring up because like we've been so spoiled by the play of Matthews and Marner. Like Matthews comes into the league immediately, is a 40-goal scorer. You know, he's basically has scored at a 50-goal pace since the second he walked into the league. I mean, he's been the best goal scorer in the world since 2016, 2017. Marner, 2-time first team All-Star, you know, he's always around 100 points every single year, even in the COVID years, scoring at a 100-point pace. And Nylander's just kind of in there in the background. He's getting paid under $7 million. He's the third guy, sometimes the fourth guy on the totem pole behind John Tavares. Then he has a breakout year last year, and now Laporte this year. He's on pace for 58 goals and 130 points. Like that's just insane. 58 goals and 130 points. I know we're only 17 games in, but like we could be looking at a 50 goal, like 110 point season from this kid. Or I call him a kid. He's in his prime now. He's like 26.
Yes or no? Does he hit 100 points?
100%. This guy
100% slam dunk.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Does he slam dunk?
Does he hit 50 goals?
50 goals. That's going to be difficult. Honestly, I don't think he's going to score 50. I think we see him settle in like between 45 and 50. I could see like a 47 goal season. I'm not quite
specific,
sure.
Bruno? 46
yeah, I don't know.
Half?
I mean, 50 is a big number. You think he's going to score 50?
No. I mean, and that's, again, not a shot to him. It's just, it's so hard to get that many goals. And I mean, I haven't checked his shooting percentage lately. I mean, I expect it to be very high. So then my assumption is it'll cool down. But at a 58 pace, it can cool down and he can still clip 50.
his shooting percentage isn't like crazy. It's 15.6%.
That's more scary than.
Yeah, so it's actually like not that, inflated. Like even Matthews right now is shooting at 20%.
Oof. Yeah, even for him, he's usually about 15, no?
Yeah, exactly. I think Matthews' career average is like 16-ish, his shooting percentage.
That's
You should
high.
check Nylander's career shooting percentage. But like we could easily be staring down like a 45 goal, 60 point or 60 assist, 65 assist season. Like I could see him getting, like I said, 45, 50 goals, 110 points. And then it's like, what do you do here? Because I think the Leafs are beating themselves up that they didn't lock this guy up in the offseason. I'm looking at his career shooting percentage, 12.5%. So he's only slightly above that right now.
That's pretty considerable to go from 12.5, you said, to 15.
Yeah, from 12.5 to 15.6% this season.
That's pretty considerable.
Gobble, gobble, as our American friends dive headfirst into mountains of mashed potatoes and cranberry sauce, let's talk about the unsung hero of the holiday season, the MANSCAPED Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. That's right, it's time to go cold turkey on your old razor and take care of your own turkey leg with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Visit manscaped.com and use our exclusive code GFP20 for 20% off and free shipping. And enjoy American Thanksgiving in style with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra Lepore. Manscaped does not miss with any of their products, man.
As you said, Anthony Bruno, it is American Thanksgiving, which is the time to give thanks. And who better to give thanks to than Manscaped, from saving your balls from hairy, hairy days. Like Bruno said, manscaped.com, GFP20 for 20% off and free shipping.
Gobble, gobble, everybody. Go to manscaped.com and use code GFP20 for 20% off and free shipping. That is manscaped.com and code GFP20 for 20% off and free shipping. I promise you won't be disappointed.
I don't know, man. Like let's cut to the chase and get in the discussion people want us to get into, right? What's he going to make? And is it going to be with the Toronto Maple Leafs?
He's definitely going to stay in Toronto because I think he loves it here, and he's expressed how much he loves being a Leaf. And even look at what he did in Sweden. Like the guy was an absolute rock star there. The Leafs are like the number one team in Sweden. I think it helps him immensely, just like for his brand. Obviously, it's a great organization. I know they don't win a lot. I know the Leafs have had a lot of trouble winning when it matters, but as an organization, we all know how elite they are when it comes to everything else, right? So when I think about the money, though, I mean, he deserves more money at this point than Mitch Marner. Like, I know it's like, oh, Bruno, like you're out of control. He's having one amazing season, but it's like, have you been watching this? It's not even just this season, Lepore. Last year's playoffs, the playoffs before that. Like, this guy's been the only point per game player in the playoffs on this team. He's had like 3 really good seasons in a row. Now he's having like a supernova elite season. I mean, it's crazy. He's obviously not going to make Matthews money. He's not going to be making 13 million, but I think now it starts at like 11 million the way he's playing. Shit. 11 million AAV.
Shit. See, people, you made the point of, we're kicking ourselves, or the Leafs are kicking themselves for not locking him up earlier. But that's making the assumption that there was a number on the table that he was willing to sign, right? And something I was thinking about today was the cap's going up, and it hasn't even really been made official as to what it's going to be. Like they say, like 87 million, 88 million, maybe a smidge higher. I think I've even read. So if you're the agent and you're a star player approaching free agency, what's the hurry? And I know people are freaking out, but I always point to Stamkos went as far as to meet with other teams before he re-signed with Tampa. Pasternak re-signed in March, and who doesn't want to play for the Boston Bruins, right? It's going to be interesting to see what happens the next couple of years with the Leafs, because people look at it and I think people freak out because they say, you know what, there's no way we can fit this guy in. We're against the cap like every other team in the league, right? There's no money to spend. But if you step back for a second and actually look at the Leafs cap sheet, Okay. So he makes 7. So you're saying the number is 11 million.
I think so. Something in that range.
Okay.
I think is reasonable.
I can't see it being higher. Like what Pasternak signed, like 11.6, and he scored 60 goals. So let's be like super afraid and put the number at 11 million. Okay. Okay. So right now we'll say he makes 7. 4 million. The gap is 4 million. Right there, that's about what the cap is supposed to go up. Okay. But then people would say, well, what about other guys? What are we going to do? TJ Brody makes $5.5 million. Okay. He is a UFA. He's a Toronto boy. What could he possibly demand in his next contract at his age at this point of his career? Really and truly. Like if he signed a 3-year, $10 million deal, would you be surprised?
No, I think that it's going to come in probably around that range. He's making 5 on the nose right now.
Okay. Was it Muzzin? Was it Muzzin was 5.5? Is that the number?
I think Muzzin, Muzzin was a little over 5.
Okay.
I want to say it was like 5.25, 5.5, or 5.625. That's what Muzzin was.
That was the one I was thinking of then. Yeah.
But with Brody, I agree, man. Like I think he could be somewhere in the 3s over like a 3 or a 4-year deal. I don't think he's going to get 5 million again.
No. So you create the 4 million from the cap going up, the money from Brody, but then, oh my God, we have Marner and Tavares. John Tavares is taking a significant pay cut. How much of a pay cut? We'll see. And that's up to John. And it's funny with Marner, man. It's funny to think that this guy signed a 6-year deal and he's been great. And this is more a shot at what occurred because of COVID than it is a shot at Mitch Marner. The cap didn't go up. And if you look at all the biggest contracts in the league, most of them came before COVID. People point to Carlson's contract, Tavares' contract, McDavid's contract, Eichel's contract. That was the trend. Doughty's contract. The trend was like the 10 plus million for the star players because the cap was going up and up and up. And then it hit a wall. So it's funny that we're sitting here and looking at Mitch Marner's deal, that he's got 1 year left after this, a 6-year deal. The guy was a 2-time first team All-Star. And when I actually stopped to think about it, is he even going to get a raise? And if it is a raise, what is that raise going to be? Because if you look at historically what a player like him would get, as far as a raise goes, okay, it would even a 10% raise. I'd be like, no, you're not making like over 12 million. So I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with Mitch. Like I said, with Tavares, well, that's the key. I think with John, that's the biggest key for like the health of the Leafs cap sheet going forward. But at the end of the day here, and Bruno, we beat this drum all the time with regard to the salary cap. The only thing that really and truly matters is if William Nylander wants to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's it. Because we're in a cap league and it sucks for fans, but it mainly sucks for players. Because here are these players coming in and they hit UFA and they have to make a decision. And that decision is, do I play where I can win? And with that, take less than my value? Or do I, and as stupid as it sounds, do I chase my value, but then I'm a detriment to my team because I make my value? And the example I always give up, and this is the biggest joke of them all, is McDavid's next deal. We've talked on previous episodes how this guy, if he hits free agency, it is going to be to cup chase. He is going to have a list of teams who can win the Stanley Cup and more than one. So here, well, then he can't make 16 million, right? Think about that for a second. So at the end of the day, it's a matter of where McDavid really and truly wants to play and where he wants to win, if that's his priority. And the same goes for Nylander. The whole thing of like, if it's 10 million, 11 million, 9.5, 10.5, no, that's irrelevant. Do you want to be here? And we always talk about the benefits that come with playing in Toronto. Like you said, he was a rock star in Stockholm. And I'm not saying he wouldn't have been a rock star if he played for another team, but it helps. And the Swedish tradition of the Leafs with Sundin and Salming definitely adds to it. But I'm not afraid yet. I guess to sum up that big, long rant, I just see it working out. And I was at Pro Hockey Life the other day, man. And, my nephew's testing out the sticks. It's like a fashion show with these sticks, right? The stick they pull up to the rink with.
$300 sticks that they think are making them better players. Just like we thought when we were growing up that $300 sticks would make us better. But it turns out you actually have to be a good hockey player, and the stick doesn't affect how well you play.
Bruno, I'm going to scare you. The newest sticks come in about $429.
Oh, come on.
So with tax, you're pushing like 500 bean, man.
Oh my God. And all it takes is one kid on the team to get the stick, Lepore, and then everyone wants the stick.
It's a fashion show. And so he's trying out all these sticks. So, and as I'm sure you can assume, they're the cheap ones. And for those listening, I'm rolling my eyes right now. So, I go check out the adult sticks, and you see like the new CCMs, the new Bowers, all that. And then Sherwood, and Sherwood's making a push. Like they signed Bedard, they signed Matthew Tkachuk. They brought Nylander over from Bauer. And I think their top of the line stick is called the Code, the Sherwood Code. There's a William Nylander version because he spray paints the bottom of his stick white. So they made a version of the stick that's already white. And for the name, it says Willie Styles on it.
That's sick.
Oh yeah, I bought it. No, I'm just kidding. So I'd like to think, and he's having an unbelievable year, and guys who finish top 5 in scoring have big deals with these companies and this and that. But this contract happened before this season, and I think a big part of it is because that he plays for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, I think so. I think it does wonders for his brand. He's playing out of his mind right now, and you know what? You said he's a top 5 player in the league. I guess you could make the argument right now.
That's what I mean. Right now. He's better than McDavid right now. Period. He's better than McDavid today.
These first 17 games, rank the top 5 players right now, even based on like the last 2 weeks of hockey that we've seen. You could say he's a top 5 player in the game.
Yeah.
Now, his body of work obviously doesn't suggest that he's a top 5 player, but my goodness, the way he's playing. And you made a great point about Marner. Like, I don't think Marner has a ton of leverage to ask for a raise. Like, I don't think Marner could come in and say, you guys got to give me 12-5. And you know what? I think the Leafs are just going to wait this out. And obviously with Marner, he's not even eligible for an extension until the summer, but he's got 5 goals in 17 games, 20 points in 17 games. Listen, Marner might end up with another 95, 100-point season, but let's say Marner ends up with, 87 points and only scores 22 goals. And then he goes into the summer saying, I want $12.5 million. And Nylander ends the year as the Leafs leading scorer, 47 goals, 112 points. I don't know if Marner has a leg to stand on. I'm not saying that Marner's not going to get a big contract, because he still is, but he can't be demanding a huge raise. And then Nylander's going to be sitting there like, what the fuck are you guys doing? You're giving this guy a raise and you want to squeeze me and only give me 10 million because I haven't had quite as many great seasons as Mitch Marner. But as you said, this is natural progression. Nylander comes into the league. He's a 60-point player right away. Then he had that whole contract holdout, like a throwaway season where he had, it was 25 points in 50 games.
That's so
then
weird
he comes
now.
back, finally scores 30 goals. And now you're seeing oh my God, he is in his prime and he's one of the best players in the world. And it's amazing to see. And honestly, man, he might even be better than Austin Matthews. As crazy as that sounds,
he's better than Matthews right now.
Might be the Leafs. Over the next 4 years, Lepore. Okay, so Matthews signed a 4-year extension. Who do you think, if Nylander stays, who do you think will be the Leafs' best player over the next 4 years? I
think it's tough to say it's not Matthews. Again, just the body of work and the consistency. The guy's got more goals than anybody else in the league since he entered the NHL. He's got way more 5-on-5 goals than anybody else in the NHL since he's entered the league. He's amazing defensively. Matthews is from another planet, and that's me with my Leaf hat on, but fine. Matthews is from another planet. Willie, it's been a smaller scope that we've seen this super elite play, but I can't see, so I can't make a prediction that Nylander will put up more than Matthews. But again, the Leafs are a multi-billion-dollar company, man. What'd they come in at the other day? They had that list. I think they actually nipped the Rangers. We always came in at number 2 for the most valuable franchise. They put the Leafs at number 1. I think $2.65 billion was the number.
Yeah, something in that range.
Yeah, to think, man. And fuck the other teams. I'm going to say it. It worked out to about double the average team's value and 3 times the bottom team's values. Like they were like 800, 900 million. So the Leafs are worth 3 bad franchises in the NHL. But anyways, it's a multi-billion-dollar corporation. That was my point. That's what I was going to get to. They're having these negotiations now. Right now, the Toronto Maple Leafs know what John Tavares is going to ask for. Even Marner. Even if you're Marner and Willie and Austin and John in the locker room, come on. You don't think they kind of like winking at each other? Like, yeah, what are you going to get? So like, is this going to work out for all of us? And do we, if we all want to stay, like, come on. Like people have to
see, it goes back to the whole Matthews thing. I wish that he was a little more unselfish because we talked about this at the time. As much as I love the guy, I still think there was an avenue here where he could have gotten, I don't know, 12 million. And I know it's not a lot of money, but sign for less, even though you could still argue he kind of signed for less, but sign for less on a long-term deal. And I think there was an avenue here where they all could have kind of banded together and said, hey guys, like kind of like the Lightning did, where all of them make under 10 million. I know it's different, no state income tax in Tampa, but I feel like there's a little disconnect still between like the core 4. They could have all kind of taken haircuts, and Matthews was the first guy and said, fuck it. 4-year deal, over 13 million. And now everyone else is going to want to raise as well.
But to that, I would say this, Bruno. Okay, so you're saying Matthews took a haircut. I was a 13.25 million was the number.
Yeah, 13.25.
Okay, so you're questioning whether, like, you're saying, you know what, like he just went for the money, this and that.
Yeah, like why didn't he sign for 12 million over 8 years, or 12.5 even over?
What I'll say, Bruno, is what does Matthews get in free agency? Full on, it's free agency. Austin Matthews can sign anywhere he wants. What does he get?
He probably gets more than 13.25. But here's the thing. None of these guys, we always talk about like, oh, what would this guy get on the open market? None of these guys end up going to the open market.
Yeah, but my point is like that as a comparable to say, okay, what do you've got 10% more? Because I think don't look at it at the dollar amount. Look at it at the percentage amount. I think it's safe to say that Matthews could have got 10 to 15% more on the open market, right?
You're probably right.
So quick math.
My whole point is like, why are these?
He's 14. That's about like 14.6 million. So that's saying he could have got that. And again, that's 10%. So let's say it's Nylander. Even if open market 11.5, well then he should sign where he is for 10.5 in comparison to Matthews.
Well, it's like Pasternak, right? Pasternak would have got more on the open market.
100%.
Stayed in Boston and kind of took a little bit of a discount. Some would argue maybe it's not a discount. It's like exactly what he's worth given like his comparables. But shit, the guy, as you said, just scored 60 goals. I just think there was a way that the Leafs could have been a little bit better with their, I mean, not even the Leafs, just the core 4. Like come together and be like, hey guys, let's all stay here and let's try to win. We've gone through some very difficult times. We've been the laughingstock of the league on several occasions, but let's stick this out. Let's all take a little bit less across the board. Let's all stay here long term and let's try to win. And
that's
it just seems like
fault.
They're not doing that.
That's Dubas's fault. Agreed?
Yeah, and that's fair.
I mean,
I don't disagree.
And with Matthews, Bruno, like you tell me, are you more burned by the number or the lack of term?
Well, at the time,
both?
I was more burned by the lack of term. Well, because if the term was longer, it would have been less money, or at least I think it would have been less.
Or
money.
Even the same. If you would have signed the same, that's giving us a discount.
13.25 over 8 years, like that would have been a great contract. But of course, he's got to sign his 4-year deal. Then he's going to come up again as a free agent, and he's more shenanigans. And you know what? Fuck it. If Nylander stays here, signs an 8-year, like Nylander's going to be the most beloved Leaf. If this guy signs an 8-year deal and just tears it up the next 4 years, outproduces Matthews, produces like a top 10 player in the world, like I don't care if the Leafs, they might not win another playoff round. Nylander's going to get a statue on Legends Row. That's how beloved this guy is. And he's going to be if he signs for 8 years and continues to play the way that he's playing.
Funny how things change, eh? Because like Nylander was always really polarizing in Toronto. he was always the first guy traded, get rid of the European. That was always the thing. And here we are, like, look at the point you just made. He's getting a statue and he's going to be ahead of everybody else.
I know it sounds ridiculous, but I kind of do believe it, honestly. I mean, you're seeing it now, even like on social media, the narrative around this guy, it is completely flipped.
Yeah.
Like, the picture of him on the subway, everybody loves this guy now. He went from the guy that everyone's uncle wanted to trade for like a third pairing defenseman who can't skate to now like, we love him. Your dad loves him. Your uncle loves him. Your mom loves him. Your aunt
wife
loves him. Your
really
grandmother
loves
him. Your dogs love him. Your cats love him. Who doesn't love this guy right now? His brand is like, the narrative around him is at an all-time high right now.
Yeah.
It's just incredible to see how it's flipped.
Fucking guy. One point I'll make is, you mentioned the thing with the Leafs in Sweden. The couple times I've been there, what I saw, I guess it was Willie was around. The big ones, the big fan bases I saw in terms of going to stores and seeing the jerseys was the Rangers and the Red Wings. And the Red Wings because of Lidstrom, Zetterberg, and then the Rangers because of Lundqvist. Like, Lundqvist is everywhere there. He had his own like underwear brand. I mean, that's kind of like a thing in Sweden. It's kind of funny. Anyone's ever been there, you walk into like department stores and you see all the famous Swedish athletes have their own underwear. It's Bjorn Borg, Henrik Lundqvist. It's just a thing.
Is that why Nylander, Laporte, did you see him wearing a tank top on that late night talk show in Sweden?
What, man? Now that I think about it, man, it goes Bjorn Borg has his underwear. Lundqvist had his underwear when I was there. There's the Boreas Salming underwear. Nylander underwear, man.
He's next, man.
Yeah, it'll sell, man. Oh, fuck it. I'll buy a pair.
That was the most rock star shit I've ever seen. When I saw him on a late night talk show in Sweden wearing a white tank top, I was like, my goodness, this guy is just on another level right now. He doesn't give a shit about what anyone thinks of him. That's why I love him. He's perfect for this market. He doesn't let the spotlight and the pressure get to him. He's wearing tank tops on live TV in Sweden. He goes back to his hometown. He's dominating both games, scoring OT winners. Like, I mean, it's out of control right now with this guy, and I love it.
Yeah, but is it make the point about him being the perfect personality and having the right demeanor for Toronto? And I've said that because you look at him and Nylander gives zero fucks, which is what you need. People picture this like Canadian player with, with this kid from Toronto who dreamt of playing for the Maple Leafs. No, that kid feels too much pressure and he is aware of the bigness. And I'm not saying Nylander is not aware of the bigness, but Nylander gives zero fucks. And people sometimes say they give zero fucks, but no, this guy actually does, right? So it's fantastic. It's great for the market. But at the same time, it's horrible for us because he gives zero fucks. So yeah, I'll play this out. I really and truly think that's what happened. People were throwing out numbers of, they could sign him for 9, but he wants 10. I don't think Willie was signing unless they came crazy. But I honestly think that he was not willing to put pen to paper for almost any reasonable deal. He's like, I'll play it out. Like I said, the cap's going up. What's the worst that can happen? And like, I'd question that with a lot of different players. With him, no, I can totally see it. And it doesn't matter.
He seems like the perfect personality to be like, I don't care. I'm just gonna play out the season and do what Pasternak did, right? Like Pasternak didn't sign when he could have. He waited it out, and as you said, he signed in March, put up a 60-goal season, a career year, and signed for over $11 million. And I think Nylander's going to do the same thing. Like, there's no rush on Nylander's part. If I was Nylander, the way he's playing, I'd be like, I'm waiting till the end of the season. Fuck this. I'm going to see how many points and how many goals I can rack up. And then we'll go back to the negotiating table.
If you're true living, it sounds weird, but that's an awkward phone call. That first phone call. Willie, you want to come into the office so we can talk about your contract? He's probably gonna be like, no, I have a tennis lesson with Roger Federer. The guy's so fucking cool. Like, you know what I mean? Just like something, and then I'm gonna jam it out with Paul McCartney. He's gonna be his answer. So sorry, Brad. I can't make it. But
oh man,
it's gonna be funny to see how
fascinating to follow.
Yeah, he's got to resign, man. He's got to resign, mainly because I need a white Leafs jersey with the Borea patch and the Global Series Sweden patch on it with Nylander on the back.
That's a sweet jersey.
Gotta have it, man. Anyone comment down below? The Borea patches are available, and I have a couple stashed in a drawer for safekeeping. But I haven't seen the Global Series patches anywhere. So comment down below if anyone knows like a certain online store that has them.
Please let Lepore know, because as you all know, if you've been listening to this podcast, he is the jersey guy. He is the jersey guy of jersey guys. So he needs this.
I've slowed down a bit, man. The babies do that. Got to buy boxes of formula. They cut into my fund, but she's got to eat.
Cuts into your fund of buying like 20 hockey jerseys a year.
Fucking 20 hockey jerseys. Nah.
You have a Gustafsson monster jersey.
That was given to me. Yeah. A buddy, and I'll tell the story. Who gives a shit? A buddy of mine is a total loser. So he's a lawyer for the firm that handles the Maple Leafs. And he was invited to one of the partners' homes for like kind of like a fun Sunday barbecue thing. And I think there was just like shit everywhere. Like they took people, yeah, take it or whatever. And there was an autographed Gustafsson jersey. He's like, hey, you want it? And he just like tossed it at him. And he threw it my way. So I have an autographed Gustafsson jersey, the monster in the closet.
That's
right?
incredible. Hey, and he made an appearance in Sweden.
Did he?
I don't know if you caught him in the crowd. Yeah, they showed him. He was sitting in the crowd.
Okay. He's retired now. I assume he's still playing somewhere against
Sweden. I assume he's retired unless he's playing somewhere in Europe, but I think he's retired. He was sitting in the crowd enjoying the Global Series.
Yeah,
I believe it was during the Leafs I think it was Leafs Red Wings.
Because he played for both, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I remember for the 50th episode, I hung it behind me. The Gustafsson jersey. Man, so incredible. Long ago. Episode 50.
I know. We're on 124 now. Wild. But is there anything else Leafs-wise that you want to talk about, or should we move on to my second favorite Canadian team?
There's only... We wrapped it up, man. It's Nylander. Nylander. Every channel, every radio station, every podcast, everyone's talking about Willie Nylander, man. And fans, right? It's like, I find other fan bases, it's kind of funny how they're reacting to it, because like here's this Leafs player having an unbelievable season, which grinds their gears. But at the same time, and again, the stupidity of the salary cap, they're like, how much is he going to cost you? It's like, so I should be rooting against my favorite player or a guy who plays for my favorite team. But it's going to be fun. And then whatever he does sign for, people are going to say it was too much and the Leafs got hosed and this and that.
The NHL, the only league in the world you can't cheer for your favorite player because they're playing too well and they might make too much money and ruin your salary cap. So
yeah,
way to go, NHL. Way to go.
Bruno, we did the over-under on goals and points. We'll wrap it up with this. When does he sign?
I think he's going to sign in the offseason. I think he's Toronto. I think he's taking this down. I think he wants even see what happens in the playoffs. He's been the Leafs' best playoff performer.
Okay. And again, he's going to say, fuck it. We'll see what happens in the playoffs. We end up in the conference final because of me or something.
I think he's going to wait it out, man. Or he pulls a Pasternak and just signs like kind of out of nowhere in March when like no one's expecting it. But he's not signing anytime soon.
I was going to guess like February was going to be my guess.
No, I would say over.
Over, eh?
Yeah. I'll take the over on that.
Okay. Yeah. Remember this one. We'll come back to this when he re-signs with the Chicago Blackhawks.
Oh, don't even.
That's the team everyone's saying, I guess, because the cap space and I mean where they hope to be. Who wouldn't want to play for the Chicago? I mean, they've had their issues off the ice, but original 6 teams, Chicago's a crazy town.
We won't overthink this. Let's just wait it out with Willie. We'll talk about Willie and we'll gloat about how great he is, but the contract, it'll come when it comes. All right.
Bruno, let's be honest. We're going to overthink that. We're going to overthink the hell out of this, Bruno.
Oh, we are. And I say this now, we're going to talk about this like 500 more times before he signs. And I just don't want to cry myself to sleep if he's not a Toronto Maple Leaf next season.
Sucks, man.
All right.
Suck.
Time to talk about the Edmonton Oilers. So I did say that they're my second favorite Canadian team. I would like to correct myself. They are my second favorite team. Some people have asked me if this is a joke or if this is a charade. that I'm putting on? Is this a bit? Well, I'll leave that up to you to decide. Okay.
Well, Bruno, my second favorite team is doing better than your second favorite team.
Yeah, but they're
apparently.
actually your second favorite team.
Yeah, he's fucking rubbing it in.
Boots on the ground in Ottawa. Michael Lepore loves his Ottawa Senators. But no, we got to talk about the Oilers because it's still a shit show over there. They're 5-10-1. Now, as we are recording this episode, they are in action against the Florida Panthers. Let's do a live score update. And by the time we post this, it won't be live. But it's 2-2 at the end of the first period.
Let me guess, 2 power play goals for Edmonton.
2 5-on-5 goals.
What?
Unbelievable.
The new coach has turned it around.
Connor McDavid scored the first goal of the game. So he's now up to 14 points in 15 games.
I will make the point that they blew a 2-0 lead and they're getting outshot 12-6.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
That is true. So they're probably going to lose this game. We'll see what happens when we post this tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, McDavid is not playing well. He's probably playing through his injury still. He's under a point per game. Like it's crazy. Draisaitl, 6 goals in 16 games. I mean, he does have 21 points in 16 games, but like their top 2 guys aren't playing well. Whenever Mark Spector is posting an article on sportsnet.ca talking about McDavid and Draisaitl and them spiraling out of control and they don't know what's going on. It's never happened that both of them have been out of sync like this. Oh my God. But anyway, I love when this happens because it gives us more to talk about. And the Edmonton Oilers, yeah, I mean, I'm going to take shots at them when I can because I have high expectations for this team and they should be a lot better. And I still don't think they're going to make the playoffs. They're only 7 points out of a playoff spot. And there's some horrible teams ahead of them in the Western Conference. But and even Jack Campbell, Lepore, we were talking about this before we started recording. He's been abysmal. And even in the AHL, he's been abysmal. I know you have his numbers. What do you make of this whole Edmonton situation? Like, I personally think it's over. I don't think they were going to recover from this, but how do you feel about the situation?
You mean you don't think that they're going to recover from this in the way that you don't think they're going to make the playoffs?
Yeah, like, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think the season's over. I know it's crazy to say, but listen, U.S. Thanksgiving is a few days away here, and this team is 7 points out of a playoff spot, 12 points behind the LA Kings for third in the Pacific, 17 points behind Vegas for the Pacific Division lead. They can't stop a puck to save their lives. I don't care that they brought in a new coach. I don't think they're going to recover from this.
Yeah. It's genuinely a tough call because, as I said before, with my Chiefs Eagles prediction, how like my gut says one thing, but my brain says another thing. My brain says no fucking way. The season's over. They look too bad. And right now, they look like a team that is going to the rink expecting to lose. The body language sucks. They got no mojo. It's not good in Edmonton. There's nothing positive in Edmonton right now. But there's that thing in my gut that's like, fuck, they'll just go on a tear. And I don't think they're going to win the division or anything like that. But it's still early. It's a good month. It's a month where they go like, I don't know, 13-2-2 or something. And are they capable of that? With Draisaitl, McDavid, yeah, they are. And even Draisaitl, man, he's funny how, though he's not himself. I think he's got like 21 points.
Yeah,
21
something. Points in 16 games.
Yeah, so come on. That's like a 100-point pace. And that's, to him, that's a bad season because he's so incredible. But it's a lot of questions. Steve Dangle made the point with the goaltending thing. He put out that Campbell actually had better numbers statistically than Skinner when he was sent down.
That's true.
But the issue was that if you put Skinner down, someone's going to claim him. And he's right. And once he said it, I'm like, yeah, he's right. Someone would claim Skinner. They ain't claiming Campbell. So then where are you now? And yeah, and Picard's in nets tonight. I don't know if we mentioned that yet. Calvin Picard, former Leaf, right? Marley?
Yeah. He was with the Leafs very briefly.
Yeah.
Wasn't very good, but he was a Leaf at one point.
Yeah. So similar to a lot of teams, we're going to find out in a hurry because they got to do it quick. Like right now, they're what, like 5-10 and something. If they're 10-20 and something, the season's over. So we're going to know by Christmas 100% where this team's at and if they still have a chance. And that's easy to say because, if they win games. But it's going to be, it's teetering. It's teetering. And it's one of those cases where what do you do? What do you do? When you're in a situation where you're bad and you're not built to be bad, like, and by that, I mean, you're not bad on purpose. What do you do?
It's a sad situation, man. Like, and their cap situation's a mess. They are paying Jack Campbell and Darnell Nurse $14.25 million. $14.25 million for a guy who's what, at best, a number 2 or 3 defenseman. And Oilers fans would tell me he's like the worst defenseman on planet Earth. Jack Campbell now, like, I mean, I don't think it's a stretch to say like his career might be over. Like, he has no confidence. His numbers in the AHL, as I said, we were talking about this before the show. Like, it is abysmal.
Scary.
13 goals against in 3 games, an 819 save percentage.
Natural reaction to start with 9.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like messing myself up and I'm staring at it right now. It's right in front of me. An 819 save percentage and a 436 goals against average. Like, honestly, his career might be over. I don't know if he can recover from this mentally. And you obviously have the Draisaitl deal that's expiring very soon, and then McDavid's contract right after that. Like, this could go south real quick for this team, man. Because as you said, like, they're trying to win a championship. They're in win now mode, and they stink right now.
Yeah. So you don't even want to. My point was you don't even want to sell off assets, right? Because they can't give up. And then imagine, you're gonna look McDavid in the face and tell him you're selling off assets. And
they can't do that.
You can't. Is in terms of the consequence. Now, this is a talk. We'd have to go through competitive teams and teams that have potential to win a championship. In terms of consequence, is Jack Campbell's deal like one of the worst of all time?
Man, I don't know if it's the worst of all time, but I think right now it's probably the worst deal in the NHL right now, just in terms of like the value you're getting. Because there's some other bad contracts out there, but you're getting like significantly below replacement level player for $5 million a year.
You couldn't even retaining half, teams would laugh at you.
Like, you're literally better off putting any goal. Like, you're better off putting like the goalie of like, I don't know, the Erie Otters in net right now over Jack Campbell based on the value you're getting for that contract.
Yeah. And to be clear, I'm not saying it's the worst contract of all time. People are like, what's this guy talking about, David Clarkson? No, but the Leafs weren't very good and nobody was picking them to win the Stanley Cup. So the consequence wasn't of great magnitude. People could look at this. Dude, man, you're paying Darnell Nurse, Jack Campbell. People talking about the Leafs, Darnell Nurse, Jack Campbell, and Zach Hyman in around $20 million. For what? Good luck. And you know what, Bruno? I'm going to brag about it. We were on this show in the preseason saying how it was horseshit. People were picking the Oilers to win the Stanley Cup. And, maybe they'll win it now because I'm going to go on this rant. But come on. That is horrible management. Horrible. People take shots at, you paid this star $1 million too much. Or, no, you're $20 million for Hyman, Nurse, and Campbell. They couldn't move Nurse. They couldn't move Campbell. I mean, they could move Hyman, but I don't think every team's coming running for him. So I think they're aware that his points have to do with his surroundings. And there's term. It's bad, man. It's bad.
And how about Ken Holland? Like, is he now like officially maybe the most like overrated general manager in NHL history? Because people look back to those Detroit days, man. Like, he inherited multiple Hall of Famers, at least for like that first wave when the Red Wings were really good. And then there was like that second wave with Zetterberg and Datsuk
after the lockout.
And he picked them in like the 6th and the 7th round. It's not like he was like this magician, like picking them in like the 1st or the 2nd round. Like, oh, I know this guy no one knows about. Everyone passed on those guys.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, he's made some horrible decisions with this Oilers team. Like, I know he's won multiple Stanley Cups, but my God, man, he's not doing himself any favors right now for his what's the word I'm looking for? His legacy as a GM in this league.
It's tough because how much, and you'd have to ask a general manager this, but how much different was it being a general manager prior to the cap? And people are going to be screaming, well, there was no cap. You could do whatever you wanted. But I think there, the dynamic is with the owner. How good of a relationship do you have with the owner? And does the owner trust you? The Ilitch family is probably people would say the best owners in pro hockey, and they committed to win, and they did. So maybe Ken Holland has some responsibility there. I mean, he was able to, life is sales. So maybe Kenny was always able to sell to the Ilitch family that you let me do this, I'll win. Where now, I mean, sports has changed, hockey has changed, man. I think it's less about your skills. I'm trying to find the right verbiage here. It's less about your skills in terms of selling and negotiating compared to just being a pure fucking mathematician. And it's hilarious now, man, because you'll see these posts on Twitter of, oh, so-and-so team is looking for something hockey operations. And people click on it to be funny. And I've done that. Like, oh, let's read what the job description is. And then you click on it. And if I didn't show you the title of the job, you would think it was like some crazy IT job or some like something bananas to do with physics or math. It's all numbers. It's all, do you have a background in numbers? That's it. Background in numbers. So it's a different planet from what it used to be. And like, I'm defending Kenny because you win. You always hear the argument.
That's fair.
You always hear the argument with coaches. Well, look at the team he had. Well, no team ever won that was bad because of the coach. And even if you have all the best players in the world, you have to be able to hold them together. So I've always liked Ken Holland. I just think it's no fault of his own. I think it's just very NHL that he's still around, and it's just different. Things have changed. It's like if you were a computer salesman in the 80s compared to today, well, it's not the same. Just like being a general manager in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, at the end of the day, all of these executives have been around for so long, not because they're like data scientists and they've all like gone to like math camp over the summer and like learned about statistics and analytics and all this stuff. They're there because they've built relationships over long periods of time with all of these powerful people in hockey. And as you said, man, like he's probably a really good salesman. He probably has great relationships with his owners, great relationships with fellow general managers and other executives across the league. That's why he's so well respected. So even now that he's essentially driving this team into the ground and stopping them from winning a cup, because it's hilarious, right? Like they fire Jay Woodcroft, they bring in Chris Knobloch. I know there was more going on behind the scenes, especially if you listen to 32 Thoughts with Friedman and Merrick, how Friedman was saying that Jeff Jackson in Edmonton was like kind of the guy behind bringing in Chris Knobloch. But I mean, yeah, I mean, you can't look at that situation and say like Ken Holland hasn't like royally fucked up that team, because it's like, it's bad. Like they should be so much better than they are. And now they're just like hanging on for dear life. And everyone in that organization and in that fan base is praying before they go to bed every night that they don't lose Draisaitl and McDavid.
What happens if they miss the playoffs?
Well, I mean, people are saying this is Holland's last year anyway, so like I don't even think he's gonna get fired. He's just gonna like leave and like retire.
Okay.
If they miss the playoffs, like I think Draisaitl, I think he might indicate to them that he's out. Like because he's gonna be the first domino because his contract comes up first. I think if they get an inkling that he wants out, then like it's over, because then they're gonna have to trade him. I think it's going to be really bad, man, if they miss the playoffs. It's going to be very bad.
It's going to be bad. I mean, again, we're getting so far ahead of ourselves here, and we're not hoping for this, but think of organizationally. If this team, say, misses the playoffs, and you said, imagine Draisaitl wants out, and then you have to think McDavid's not going to stick around, that could be like a slow, brutal recovery for the Edmonton Oilers. And let's face it, they were obviously a powerhouse in the 80s, won their cup in 1990. Then the year after the lockout, they had that run to the final. But in between, they have not been good. Full stop. They've had a lot of down periods, and it shows with how many first overall picks they've had. So they got the bounces with McDavid and Draisaitl, and God bless them, because that's not their fault. And you go with what you're given. But it could get really bad in a hurry again for Edmonton. really, really bad. Even morally, imagine being a fan. Like I sometimes think, and I think all fans, if not most fans, do this. If this Leafs team, you don't even want to say, oh, if they don't win a cup, but even if they don't make a final or give us like a hard run to the conference finals, that would be shit, man. That would be brutal.
Yeah, that would stink.
Like, think we got this American phenom. We got Marner. We got Nylander. We got the free agent. We were lucky to get Riley at 5th overall. And to never even say make a conference final, that would be a kick in the nuts.
That would be a colossal disappointment.
And I think about that from the side of the Oilers. Like, as a fan, man, we had a guy who will be on Mount Rushmore one day. And another guy who was like the best German player ever, not even close. And some people put him as the second best player in the league. And we never
like imagine they don't even imagine like we've already seen the best from them getting swept against Colorado in the conference final. Like imagine that's the furthest they ever get.
We have to assume that is
they get to a cup.
Bruno, we'd bet right now that's the furthest they're gonna get.
Yeah. Sad, man.
It is sad. And Canadian fan bases are passionate. They love their team. So I do feel sympathetic if that's where it ends up, because I have those fears as well about my favorite team.
Well, poor, I miss the Oilers fans in the comments who used to chirp us all the time and tell us how stupid we are. I haven't heard from them recently, so I'm wondering where they are.
I'm going easy on Oilers fans, man. Like, this is rough, bro.
Would love to hear from you, Oilers fans. I'm calling you out. I want to see you in the comments section. Lepore, is there anything else you want to get off your chest before we wrap up this podcast?
What do you think? Nylander signs with the Oilers in the offseason?
What a turn of event! What a twist that would be.
Trade for Draisaitl. Ooh, nice. No, we pumped up Willie Nylander quite a bit. We pushed down the Edmonton Oilers quite a bit. Think I'm good, bud. And look at the time, Bruno. 8:14. It's 8:14 p.m. right now. Wrapping up. Is kickoff not 8:15?
I believe it's 8:15 in Kansas City. Let's go. The game of the year.
Oh, we nailed it. Gonna listen to some Chris Collinsworth, baby.
Oh, I can't wait, man. Chiefs -2.5. We'll see. It's like I said, we'll see when we post this in the morning if we're smart or dumb. So I can't wait for that. But that is going to do it, because we want to go watch football and do some other things. So that's going to do it for episode 124, the GFP Podcast. I can't even say the name of our podcast. The Gluttons for Punishment Podcast.
It's only been 124 GFP. Episodes, Bruno.
Oh, my Lord. What is going on here? But you know the deal. If you're a first-time listener, long-time listener, and you really enjoyed the show, it would be amazing if you gave us a 5-star rating and review on either Apple or Spotify. And if you're watching us on YouTube, do all the good stuff. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, and ring the notification bell so you know exactly when the GFP Podcast is posting some new content. So for Michael Lepore, I'm Anthony Bruno. Go Leafs, go. We love William Nylander. You love William Nylander. We all love William Nylander. He's going to win the Hart Trophy. Let's go. We'll end it on that note, and we'll see you all in the next one.
Thanks, everyone.